la 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 la. You know this nigun? This is the Rostov nigun. This is the Lubavitcher Rebbe before he started every Farbrengen, before he would speak. The Chassidim would sing this nigun. So I figured I don't have the guitar. We'll sing the nigun. It's locked. See if it's locked right there. I la 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 la. I la 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 la. I la 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 la. Hi Zahava. Hey Koach. Welcome. I la 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 la. I'm going to need another chair. I did it, I la la la. I did it, I la la la. I did it, I la. I did it, I la. I la la. I la I la I la I la I la la. Nina, I la 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 la. La la la. Thank you, Ari. Nina, I la la. I la 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 la. I la 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 la. I the I la la la. I the I la la la. I the I la. I the I la. Ah la la. Ah la la. What's your name?
Joe.
Joe, I'm Barak. Welcome.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Michigan.
Michigan. Your Koch's friend?
Yes.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so welcome to Koch. To Joe, and Aryeh is here, and Zahava's watching with us, and Katie will watch later, and Yael's going to watch later, and Shana Batsheva, and my mother, and everybody that joins us later. Shalom Aleichem to you. So, we're continuing in lesson 24, in the first part of the Likutey Moharan.
They said 42.
Did you really?
Got it.
No, I might have written, I don't think I wrote 42, because I actually have a numbers dyslexia. But I'm pretty sure I wrote you 24, because it's Chaf Daled. But who knows?
All right.
Regardless, you don't have 24 there, right?
No.
It wouldn't help you so much because you see all the black text here. That's the original, and the rest is the fill-in from the Oteor. So even if you were to follow along, I mean, you would get something, but you wouldn't get the full picture. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick review of the lesson. The lesson, it starts off with this quote of Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananiah, that the elders of Athens ask him, where's the center of the universe? And he lifts up his finger and he says, it's right here. And they said, really? And he said, sure, bring chavalim, bring ropes and measure it and you'll see. And then Rabbi Nachman goes on to talk about this idea that we can't grasp Hashem. Why can't we grasp Hashem? Because Hashem is creating the universe and is inside the universe and outside the universe. Because we're only in the universe, we're not outside of it. And so, since we're not outside of it, we can't understand Hashem entirely. We can understand some things, we can't understand any other things. And so then Rabbi Nachman says, what's the ultimate level of knowledge? It's knowing what you don't know. If a person reaches the point where they know so much about a certain subject, but they know that there's more to know, they know more than a person that didn't study that subject. And so he says, let's take the subject of understanding Hashem. If we try to understand Hashem, which we know, we already defined from the start, that we can't understand Hashem, but just the fact that we're trying to understand Hashem, he says we're going to reach this place of, he quotes it in Aramaic, mateh v'la mateh. And in Hebrew, it's magia velo magia, that a person can reach, but they can't reach. So you, for example, you can reach this. I have a chavruta in the morning, we learn together. He says, you can reach the ceiling, but you can't hold on to the ceiling. Or the example that I gave when we were learning together is somebody gets excited, they want to run for politics, they get into the Knesset, and they think that they're going to have some power, and they realize that they don't really have any power, because they're just a member of Knesset. So you can reach a place where you think you're going to get something, but you don't have something. Or another example, a person believes that if they had $1 million or $10 million, or if that woman married him, or if he owned that house, and then they get these things and they realize it didn't bring them what they wanted. So that's an idea of reaching but not reaching. And so he says we have to try to intellectually grasp Hashem. And this lesson is an exercise in trying to intellectually grasp Hashem, but we're not going to actually reach Hashem. We're just going to try to get there. And so we've been talking a lot about the sefirot, and I even have a little map here of the sefirot. And now we're also in Sfirat Omer. We started this a long time ago. Before Sfirat Omer, we're talking about all the sefirot and the energy that goes through it. And he talks about this idea of, so Malchut is the lowest, Keter is the highest. Malchut is kingship, sovereignty. Keter is the crown, is the intellect. And he says we have this concept of doing a mitzvah b'simcha. You do a mitzvah with joy. And when you do a mitzvah with joy, you cause Malchut, you cause this lowest energy to go all the way up into Keter. And it goes up through stages. It goes up through Netzach, Hod Yesod. It goes through Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. It goes through Chochma, Bina, and there's no Da'at here, but there should be a Da'at here, all the way up to Keter. And he calls this, so this is the spark that lights it in a sense. This is the doing the mitzvah with joy. That sends the energy into the lower level, which is the feet. That sends the energy into the higher level, which is the hands. That sends the energy into the higher level, which is the intellect. And it finally reaches Keter, reaches this place here. He says, now we have 4 worlds. 4 worlds, you can imagine, you have lenses from sunglasses. So you take one lens, you put another one, and another one. And then you put it towards the light. Very little bit of that light is going to come through when you have all 4 lenses. And that would be this world down here. This is the lowest of world. We're on the 4th lowest level from those worlds. You remove one lens, more light is going to come in. What is the light? The light is Hashem's energy. It's Hashem's presence. Now, when the Beit HaMikdash existed, we could feel Hashem's presence. That was the purpose of the Beit HaMikdash. So when a person would do a transgression, they would bring a sacrifice. They would bring an animal, usually. And that animal would be in place of them. You know, what you had to do, if you brought a cow or a bull, for example, you did something really serious and you had to bring this massive animal, you had to lean your whole body on it. And that was the way, before you bought it, and then before you gave it to the Kohen, you would lean your body on it, and that was called smicha. And smicha today is a term that's used for giving rabbinical ordination. So the rabbinical ordination is the teacher, the rabbi that's above this person, who's literally leaning on the person and giving over to them what they received. So what would happen when you did a transgression, you go to the Beit HaMikdash, you would feel Hashem's presence. So if you've ever had a spiritual moment, and probably living in Jerusalem, everybody's had a spiritual moment, where they just felt like, wow, Hashem exists. There's some special spiritual energy in the world that exists. You would automatically feel that when you came to the Beit HaMikdash. And between bringing an animal, watching the animal being sacrificed, the money that you spent on the animal, connecting yourself to the animal as you gave it to the Kohen HaGadol, and Hashem's presence, it will cause a person to do tshuva and fix their ways. Since the temple has been destroyed, we don't have that feeling. We don't have it in the same revealed way. But we can still feel Hashem's presence in this world. Hashem's presence is the Or Ein Sof, is the infinite light. It's infinite because it's beyond this world. This is a finite world. So even the light in this world is finite, but Hashem's light is infinite. How can we possibly bring the infinite light into the finite world? So he says, we're always going back to the beginning. We do a mitzvah with joy. The mitzvah with joy sends this energy through all of the sefirot, goes up and up and up and up, goes up to Keter. Now this is Olam Asiyah. This is this lowest world. Then it goes up to the next world, which is Yetzirah, I think. And then we have Atzilut, Bria. I get the order mixed up. You remember the order? What's the order?
Atzilut, Bria,
Yetzirah and Asiyah. Okay, so I got it right. Thank you. So as the energy that we create from doing a mitzvah is going up through Asiyah, then it's going up to Yetzirah, then it's going up to Bria, and then it's going up to Atzilut, and it's always going to Malchut, Keter, and then Keter to Malchut, and then Malchut to Keter, and it's going up and up and up and up. Now, you understand, as I'm explaining this, it's hard to get. It's hard to understand what we're talking about. And especially for me who didn't have somebody teaching me this, so just had the text to work with. Really hard, and that's the point. We're able to grasp something, but we're not able to fully grasp something. So what happens when this energy goes up through the four worlds, and there's more worlds above it, but those are the four worlds that I guess a tzaddik on the highest level can perceive. So then the energy comes back down. And that's called a bracha. That's called a blessing. And that's when we send the energy up, and the energy that comes back down is the infinite light of Hashem coming down into this finite world. And what does bracha mean? Bracha means basically to pull down. We have a berich, is a knee. And what does the knee do? It bends. It goes from here to here, bends. And lahavrich is to take a root of a vine and put it under the ground and pull it back out the other side. That's what we're doing when we do a mitzvah. And a bracha is basically a conduit to receive the infinite light of Hashem in this finite world. So now we spent the last few weeks going through the different levels of the sefirot here, and now we're on the last level up here, the level of the intellect, and that's what we're going to discuss tonight. Make sense?
Sounds good.
It should make sense. I mean, I'm trying to explain it in a practical way that we can understand it. לאחר שהשלים לבאר את תיקון ספירת העולם העשייה עד המוחין, after Rabbi Nachman explained how we do this tikkun, the fixing of the sefirot, of the attributes here, I shouldn't put that on there, the attributes here, how we fix them by sending the energy from this world, the world of Asiyah, which is the lowest of the worlds, to the mochin, to the intellect, to the keter, to the highest level here. V'hosiv she'tikun hamochin hu al yedei b'chinat bracha. And how do we do this? It comes about through a bracha. Bracha meaning that we bring the energy back down. She'i b'chinat emunah. But this is connected to emunah. Now, there's so many things when he says this is connected to emunah. Emunah is malchut. Malchut is the lowest level. Even though malchut doesn't have any energy of its own, it receives the energy from all the sefirot above it. When a person has emunah, a person has faith in Hashem, they do the mitzvah from a place of joy. They are giving energy to Malchut, which is sending the energy up to all of the other sefirot in order to bring down the infinite light of Hashem into this world. She b'chinat emunah animshechet alea me chitzoniyut Malchut yatzira. So he's saying the external aspect of this world pulls down the internal aspect of the world above it, and the world above it, and the world above it. The inner essence of this blessing is now going to explain. Hainu pnimiyut malchut yatzira malbisha et keter da'asiyah. So he's saying that what I was explaining before, that when the energy goes up, I really should have two of these pieces of paper because then I can stack one on the other. It goes up here, and you can imagine Malchut is now here where Keter is, and going up and going up and going up. Now, he brings in a lot of kabbalistic concepts in this, so I'm going to skip over a few sections because he wants to prove to you not that he has to prove that he knows what he's talking about. He wants to prove to us that we know that he knows what he's talking about. Yes, you have a question?
Okay, to ask a question?
Sure. It depends on the question.
Well, as it goes up,
yeah.
Is it refined?
I don't know. He didn't say anything about that. I'm picturing it just a straight line.
Okay.
And
I don't know if as it went through the new process, is it refined?
I don't think there's anything needs to be refined.
Okay.
But the reward for a mitzvah is another mitzvah. You would think that the reward for a mitzvah, so my friend comes and he says, hey, I need a loan. Can you loan me 1,000 shekels? And I say, sure, I'll sign a piece of paper. You have to have a guarantor. It's interest-free. Pay me back whenever you want. I just did a mitzvah. Now, in the heavenly realms, you would think, well, Barak now should get like $5 trillion for doing that mitzvah, because, wow, it's amazing what he did. But you know what I get? Another mitzvah. Because nothing equals a mitzvah. It's on such a high spiritual level that nothing equals a mitzvah. No amount of money would equal a mitzvah. It's kind of a pity, but no amount of money equals a mitzvah. So if the mitzvah is the energy that's going up, I'm assuming it's on such a high level, it doesn't have to be refined. It's just going straight up. But because we sent in a sense, spiritual inspiration to Hashem up to the supernal realms, then Hashem sends it back down to us in the form of a blessing.
Like a birth almost. It's almost like a conception and then a birth.
Kind of more like if you took your flashlight and it reflected off of a mirror on the ceiling and came back down. But you were the one that sent it up, and the mirror sent it back down. The reflection sent it back down. Here it's Hashem sending it back down. And what it translates into is a spiritual experience. So you put this energy into trying to do a mitzvah on a higher level, and you have for a second like a spiritual high, in a sense. And what is that spiritual high? It's a closeness to Hashem. Ultimately, what is the challenge that our soul has in this world, and why is this world so difficult and full of so many challenges? It's to connect with Hashem without being able to directly interact with Hashem. Where we want to have a personal relationship with Hashem, even though I can talk with you and I can see you and touch you and interact with you, but Hashem I can't, because Hashem is everything. So I can't interact with everything, but still I want to have a relationship with Hashem. And how do I have a relationship with Hashem? Through my heart, in a sense, through trusting Hashem. When I have a hard time, I put my faith in Hashem. And I say, Hashem, I'm going to allow you to figure out how to get me out of this problem instead of me figuring out how to get out of this problem. Even though I have to do what I have to do. But sometimes you don't know what else to do. That's when you reach the point where you're now breaching that gap between us being finite and Hashem being infinite. And coming closer to the infinite, and then the infinite reaches out to us. And the way the infinite reaches out to us is through a mitzvah. By doing the mitzvot. And through the mitzvah, we create another connection, and another connection, and another connection. And at some point, we realize that we're not the same person that we were 5 years ago. Because now we've been doing mitzvot again and again and again, connecting with Hashem, having trust in Hashem, doing the mitzvot through joy. Now, what he's trying to explain here on a kabbalistic level is what's happening. So that's where we are. But that's what's happening. So when the energy comes down, I don't think it has to be refined. I think we have to be refined before we can send it back up. Okay, בפנימיות ברכת השכל הנמשכת לאדם, the inner essence of the blessing of the intellect that's drawn down into the person. So what does this mean? This means that our awareness of Hashem when we're doing a mitzvah, that's what it means there. Shehi dakut bרכת השכל, which is the fineness of the blessing of the intellect. Shu b'chinat pnimiyut sfirat malchut. Okay, so now he's getting really into this. She emuna, she b'chinat bracha kanan. So he's basically saying what I was summarizing before. He's saying that when a person has an expanded consciousness, they're able to see Hashem in this world where Hashem is hidden. Shezeh b'chinat pnimiyut sfirat malchut shehi emuna, which is the inner essence of this lowest level of the sefirot, which is malchut, which is essentially emuna, which is faith in Hashem. Kanal is mentioned above, meaning that when you have faith in Hashem in this world, you're giving this energy to this lowest level here. Hamalbisha et keter da'asiya v'lechen mimena shehidakuta b'chot nitbarech mehem amesader me'ershev et hasechel. So he's using very complicated terminology. I don't know, you understand the Hebrew, so It's very complicated the way he's saying it. He says, when you have this level of Emunah, and you connect Malchut here, you're enclothing Malchut in Keter. I did fold this before. Let's get Malchut. There we go. We're bringing Malchut, we're cutting out all the other sefirot, and we're bringing these two together. This is through having Emunah. Hamalbishat Keter Da'asiyah. It's now enclothing Keter on the level of Asiyah, on this lowest of all worlds. V'lachen mimena shidakuta bacha nitbarech mihem amesader v'ameyashev et asechem b'bchinat svirat Keter. So we went from Emunah. Emunah was pure faith. Emunah, there's no intellect. There's no understanding of it. Right? A person is experiencing something that's so overwhelming, they can't figure out what to do, but they have a level of emunah, they have faith, and that faith doesn't have any intellect in it. But what happens when the faith does have intellect? That's when Malchut goes into the Keter. That's when the instinctual faith that doesn't have logic or reason goes into logic and reason. And then what happens is a person starts to intellectually see Hashem, in a sense. And he calls it here HaMesader VeHaMeyashev et HaSechem, that settles and arranges a person's intellect. So you can imagine, a person's mind is confused, thoughts all over the place, but when you reach this level of the emunah, of the faith, coming into your intellect, then your mind is settled. Zeh b'chinat keter. And that's what a keter is. A keter is a crown that goes around the king, right? And it surrounds the king's head. Dahainu sheyachad im birkat hasechel nimshechet la'adam sefirot chokhmah bina v'dat, together with the drawing down into the intellect, which comes through chokhmah bina and dat, which are the higher level sefirot, which is the level of the intellect. Nimshach ima or pnimi mesfirat keter mesader umeyashev et hasechem. So when you do this, you're drawing down the energy of keter into your mind in order to settle in your mind. B'chinat ma'amar kadosh baruch hu liYitzchak Avinu, and this is what Hashem said to Yitzchak our father: Eyeh imcha ve'avarecha. I will be with you and I will bless you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu itgala liYitzchak b'shem Ehiyeh misham birech oto. Hashem revealed himself to Yitzchak with the name I will be, and from that place he blessed him. V'kayadua sechen, and there might be a mistake here in the printing, shekol, something's missing here, sham mashmuoto shem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No, it's sechen. So it says, when we're talking about intellect, we're talking about Hashem. Shehu keneged sfira mesuyemet, that fits a certain attribute. Shesham iyeh keneged sfirat haketer. And now he's going into this deep stuff. I want to get to the point here. V'yitzchak, okay, so Yitzchak, why is he saying that you're going to reach this level of intellectually understanding Hashem from something that originates essentially from a place of non-intellect, from your heart? He's saying it comes from the place of Yitzchak. Yitzchak, hu al shem atzchok v'asimcha. What is the name Yitzchak? So of course, Abraham and Sarah, Hashem says to Sarah, she was 90 years old, you're going to have a child, and she bursts out laughing. And she says, sorry, I just thought it was so absurd that I would have a son at 90 years old after all these years. And Hashem says, now you're going to call your son Yitzchak. You're going to call, he will laugh. That's what Yitzchak means. So he says, why is this blessing from Hashem coming down into our intellect, allowing us to have a settled mind and be able to perceive Hashem? Why is it coming through Yitzchak? And now he's going to say, because when a person does the mitzvot with joy, then the holiness is complete. When a person merits to reach the level of keter, which is the highest of these levels, then they reach a level of true joy. So I'm trying to think of an example of it. If somebody were to explain something to you, I'm going to think of positive examples. So I'll give you the simplest example. Let's say that a person is going to give you a certain amount of money, $10,000, whatever it is, and he gives you a check. So the initial act of saying, I'm going to give you the $10,000 was the lowest level, but when it's in the actual money is in your hand, it's on the highest level. And by the time it reaches that point, you know that the money is there, and your ability to understand that the money is there allows you to be happy. Now, the money maybe wasn't the best example because, of course, anybody that needs money and gets money, they'll be happy. But here we're talking about a mitzvah. So you're doing a mitzvah, and the mitzvah is reaching the place of the intellect, and when it reaches that place, it causes you to feel joy. V'koach, so now we're going to go look at one of the footnotes here. V'koach hasimcha hu leharchiv ulagdil et hamochim. What is the power of joy? It's when you expand and increase your consciousness. V'hi bona ala keter, and this builds on keter, which is the highest level here, crown. V'katav Likutey Halachot on Torah didan, regarding this Torah, hilchot nefilat apayim. When we say tachanun, we fall on our hand here. This is in Likutey Halachot. V'zeh lashono, and this is what it says: mitchila beranu akdusha v'asimcha b'shvil aliyat ha'olamot k'dei shenuchal la'alot me'olam le'olam. In the beginning, we elevated the holiness and the joy in order to go from this lowest world to the next highest world to the next highest world, k'dei shenizke la'asik hamochim hakdoshim, so that we will have an intellectual grasp of something that is a mitzvah that's not intellectual. V'zeu ma shenitbe'er lehem, that's what we were talking about before, and regarding the ketoret, which regarding the incense offering, which I'm not going to go back to now. K'dei shenizke le'odof la'asig or ein sof. שכל זה אנו עוסקים לעשות על ידי עבודתנו מבתחילה סדר תפילה ועד הסוף. So he says, in order for us to merit, to try to grasp Hashem's infinite light, that all of this we do when we're through our davening, or through our service of Hashem, from the beginning of davening to the end, ועל ידי שעולים מעשייה ליצירה umeyetzira nebriya. So, through the davening, we're going through different stages in the davening. Those are considered the four worlds. We have Psukei Zimra, we have Bekot HaShachar, Psukei Zimra, we have Shachrit, we have Shema, Shemona Esrei, and then we get to Aleinu. And these are, in a sense, elevating us through all these different worlds. Umalchut, Manbish, Netzach Chod Yesod, Netzach, okay, Aval Akshav, שכבר זכינו למוחין, עיקר מה שצריכים עכשיו ולתקן בתכלית השלמות. So he's going, okay, I don't want to read everything here. The main thing, I'll just go back to the main thing. The main thing is doing this through joy. When a person does it through joy, it causes the energy to go up through all these worlds. Okay, let's continue. I'm going to skip over some of this here, because he's just repeating the same thing in like a deeper way, and we're going up through all the worlds. One second. Okay, so now he says that we're going to create, if this is the right place here, Kadosh Baruch Hu Shleimot Kedula. Ve'zochel simcha gdola yoter. So what he's saying is that these things are all reinforcing one another. So when a person does a mitzvah with emunah, and they do it through joy, they're creating this interaction of sending the energy up to Hashem. The energy is coming back down, and even though we're not fully grasping Hashem, we're getting a piece of Hashem, it brings us a certain level of joy, because we feel that we made a connection with Hashem, and that allows us to reach a higher level. Okay, I'm just going to go into the next section. Up above, Be'er Rabbeinu, שישנו אור נפלא ונעלם הנקרא אין סוף. Up above, he explained that there's this wondrous and hidden light that's called the infinite light, וכשאפשר להשיג אותו בבחינת mateh mateh, that a person can grasp Hashem's infinite light through this reaching but not fully reaching. וכן באר שכדי להגיע לזה צריך לקיים את המצוות בשמחה. And he said also, and he explained also that in order to reach this level, we have to do the mitzvot with joy. כי על ידי זה מעלים ומתקנים את כל העולמות. By doing the mitzvahs with joy, we fix and we elevate all of the worlds. עד שמגיעים לכתר דאצילות, until we reach the highest level of keter in the highest world. This is keter on top. ואז זוכים לשלושת כוחות בשלמות, and then we merit to have the three energies of the feet, the hands, and the intellect all coming together. שהם ברכת השכל, that this is the drawing down into the intellect, אמונה, וכוח המיישב ומסדר. We're bringing together the lower level of having faith and the higher level of having a settled mind that has an expanded consciousness that's able to see Hashem in the mitzvot that we're doing. Ataya ve'er ketzad zochim al yedei hasaga b'bchinot eile. Now he's going to explain that how we merit through grasping these aspects, la'asig et b'chinat o ein sof, to grasp this fine infinite light, b'bchinat mateh mateh, to grasp it but not to grasp it. וכשעושה ומתקן על ידי עבודתו את המיישב והמסדר, when a person does, through their service of Hashem, they reach this level of constantly being able to have faith in Hashem and then see Hashem, in a sense, working in the world. In your own world. You don't have to see it in someone else's world. You can see it in your own world. That's the settling and the ordering of your mind. Shuha keter, which is the level of keter, which is the highest level. Kara'oi, as it should be. Al yidei shemityashev u'metaken b'da'ato, through a person settling and fixing their da'at. So da'at, we have chokhmah, bina, da'at. We have these three levels of understanding. Chokhmah is facts. Bina is understanding one thing from another thing. And da'at is seeing Hashem's presence in this world, even though you can't see it like chokhmah and bina. The intellect chases after, trying to grasp this infinite light, which is above all the worlds of Atzila, Bria, Yetzira, V'Asiya. V'Keter ma'akev et hasechel kedei leyashev et hasechel. So we have our intellect, in a sense, is running frantically to try to grasp onto this infinite light, but our intellect will pull us back so that we don't, in a sense, lose our minds, and we receive the light in a measured way that allows us to receive it. And through the chasing after the infinite light, and then the stopping us from reaching such a high place because we wouldn't be able to handle the light, and then in a sense, it's kind of like, when a dog runs and there's the long leash, and at some point the leash ends and you pull back. That's what the intellect is doing for us when we're trying to try to grasp Hashem. And so we create these palaces, we create vessels for receiving the infinite light of Hashem. Perush, the meaning is na'asim b'chinat kelim ve'echalot beruchniut ha'elyonah. We make these vessels and these chambers for receiving this supernal spiritual energy. The intention is not that you're actually making a physical space in your brain, but rather this is all on a higher spiritual level. And when we make these vessels, through doing the mitzvot through joy, through having faith, through having expanded consciousness, and this cycle repeating itself again and again and again, we make a vessel to receive Hashem's infinite light. And nonetheless, la yidia vela ityada. Ha'orin sof eino yodea ve'eino mitgaleh. Even though we're making vessels to receive the infinite light, and the infinite light is even coming into us, we're not really understanding it, and it's not really being revealed to us. So in a sense, it's kind of an impression. We have an impression of the light. So I just learned recently, I'm sure everybody here, if you picture an apple and you close your eyes, you can see an apple. Or if you look at me and you close your eyes, you still see me. But I only learned this from one of our Shabbos guests. They're something like 5% of the population, myself included, you close your eyes and all you see is black. I just figured everybody sees black. So there's a guy in the neighborhood, he's an artist, he's been an artist for many years, and I went by his house, and he has this beautiful painting of these circles. Really very beautiful. And he says it's a meditation piece. Look at it and close your eyes and tell me what you see. So I looked at it and I close my eyes and say, so nothing. It's like, it can't be. What are you talking about? Everybody sees something. So for those people that see something, when you close your eyes and you have an impression, that in a sense is the infinite light that's coming into us. We see it, but we don't see it. And we grasp it, but we don't grasp it. So we're going to get a little bit by making these vessels to receive the infinite light. We're going to get a little bit of the infinite light, but we're not going to really know what it is, and we're not going to be able to, and it's not going to be truly revealed to us. Because this is just an aspect of grasping, but not grasping. Because you can't actually make a vessel to receive the infinite light, because the infinite light is above the physical body. So you can't grasp it. We were talking in the past about questions that people can ask and that they can understand, and questions that you can't understand. So you can ask, why is there evil in the world? You can understand why there's evil in the world. Because in order to have good, you have to have evil. In order to have wealth, you have to have poverty. You can't have one without the other. In order to have health, you have to have sickness. Everybody should be healthy. You have to have opposites. In order for me to read this text, I have to have black on white. And so those things we can understand, but we can't understand why, God forbid, a baby is born with a terrible disease, or why righteous people suffer and evil people prosper. Because those are questions that, even though we can intellectually come up with them, we can't understand them, because those are questions from beyond this world. And this infinite light is a light from beyond this world. As it's explained in the Zohar, I'm going to skip over the Zohar. So we create these vessels in order to receive this light, but we're going to reach this place, ve'ein misha masigotam, but you can't actually grasp the infinite light. Ve'ein misha mitdabek behem, and you can't grab onto it. Ve'ein misha yodea otam, and there's nobody who actually knows what the infinite light is. V'da shezet tachlita yidiyah. Know that this is the ultimate level of knowing. Ki tachlita yidiyah de lo yada. The ultimate level of knowing is not to know. Klomar, that is to say, Zo hatachlit liyot b'china zo shel mateh ve'lamate. This is the ultimate level, to reach the place of grasping, but not grasping. Yodea ve'no yodea, to know and not to know. Klomar, that is to say, sheyodea ma she'eno yodea, that a person knows what they don't know. Ve'yodea ma she'eno yachol ha'asig, and a person knows what they're not able to grasp. Ki mitnotzetz lo o ein sof, because there's a spark of this infinite light within the person. Kedei leida ma shetzarich leida, so that a person will know what they have to know. Avan be'emet i'efshar ladat oto, but the truth is that it's impossible for a person to truly know the infinite light. Okay, we're just going to read this footnote, and then I'm going to tell you two short stories, and we're done for tonight. B'sichot Eran, which is one of the other books in the Breslov Library, Osif, ve'af al pi chen, mipam lepam, ole v'yodea yoter, nitgalelo ve'ino yodea yoter. Even though sometimes you do learn more, and you do understand more, even when you learn more and you understand more, you understand that there's always something above you that you didn't understand. This is what he says. Binyan tachlita yediah asher lo yeda, regarding the idea of what's the true level of, the highest level of knowledge is not knowing. Siper gam ktsat imanu eze pa'amim, we told this a few times. Ech bechol yedi'ah yesh ze hatachlit. Everything that we learn, there is an ultimate purpose to it. V'al ken afan pishu zochim lavo lazeh hatachlit asher lo yada. Even though the highest level is knowing that you don't know, afan pichen adayin ein ze tachlit ha'achron. It's still, this is not even the highest level. So a person says, okay, I reached the point where I tried to grasp Hashem and I realized that I don't know Hashem, so I've reached the highest level. He says, nope, there's an even higher level of not knowing. You thought you reached the level of not knowing? There's a higher level of not knowing and a higher level of not knowing. Ki adayin ein ze tachlit ha'yediah ki im b'yediah zo. This is not the final level of not knowing. It's just the final level of not knowing at the level that you're at right now. And afterwards, we still have to try to chase after and grasp a higher level of not knowing. To constantly be trying to grasp Hashem on a higher and higher level, and realizing that we get there, that there's more to go. It follows that we will never really fully grasp Hashem. And we haven't even reached the level of the ultimate level of knowledge of knowing but not knowing. Okay, so I have two short stories for you. The first one is about the Vorka Rebbe, Rabbi Yitzchak of Vorki, who founded the dynasty of the Vorka Rebbes. I'm going to put this over here for next week, Bezat Hashem. So the Vorka Rebbe was known to be a silent Rebbe. He didn't talk very much, and a great tzaddik. And he also, maybe it was his son that was the one that didn't talk more, but whatever. The father was Rabbi Yitzchak Vorki, I'm pretty sure. And he would never get angry. It was a known thing that he wouldn't get angry. But one time there was a woman that came to him and was making him crazy, and he decided that he needed to get angry. But before he got angry, he calls his assistant to come in. His name was Feivel. He says, Feivel, bring me my other kapata, my other black coat. So he brings him the black coat, and the Rebbe takes off one coat and puts on the other coat. And then he says to Feivel, okay, now you get angry at her. Because he wasn't at the level that he could get angry. He just knew that somebody should get angry at her. But first he had to change his kapata in order to ask his assistant to get angry at her. So he's
wearing his assistant's clothes.
Oh, whatever. It's just like, he couldn't actually do it even though he knew he had to do it. Okay, the other story, very short story here. This is Rabbi Akiva Eger. He was one of the big misnagid rabbis that eventually became a chassid. So he came to Poznan to become the rabbi, and he came there with a carriage and strong stallions, and with him was his son-in-law, the Chassam Sofer. So the Chassam Sofer was also a great Rebbe. And he was married to the daughter of Rabbi Akiva Eger. He'd become a son-in-law 2 years before. So the entire city of Poznan came out cheering at the sides of the road to greet the new rabbi of the city, Rabbi Akiva Eger. The Chassam Sofer, who understood that this entire honor was meant for his father-in-law on the appointment of him being the rabbi, he climbed off the carriage and joined the crowds, walking next to the carriage with the crowd, so that all the honor would go to his father-in-law. But after a little bit of time, he looked in the carriage, and he saw that his father-in-law, Rabbi Akiva Eger, had come out the other side of the carriage, and he was also walking on the side of the carriage because he thought all the honor was for his son-in-law. So I love stories like that. Like, that's the true tzaddikim. The guys that were on this great spiritual and intellectual level, but it didn't go to their head at all. We need some of that in this government here. Bezat Hashem. Okay, Yasher Koach everyone for sticking with us and watching. We'll continue again next week. Bezat Hashem.